Okay, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to this new video blog. We are here in sunny Florida and it's a great Sunday afternoon, and I wanted to talk to you about something that came up last week in a conversation. We had a speaker who came at my school, and we were just discussing just before he started his conversation about the use of technology with kids, and what he was saying is that he has a little girl who's about to start kindergarten, and he was saying, you know, at the moment, you know, we're having the question about, are we going to give her a cell phone, when are we going to give her a cell phone, and what is it for, and so on and so forth. And he was saying, I really just want her to have a cell phone just for emergency. And my point to him was, you know, even now it's actually quite difficult to find a cell phone that just makes the good old telephone calls. Right now you have all sorts of phones, and they all have games, they all have an alarm, they all do all sorts of things. Like the minimum is going to be they take pictures, they have an alarm, they have a couple of games. A lot of them have the ability to have access to the internet. You don't have to have that on your plan. But basically, a phone that's just for emergency is a little bit of an old-fashioned concept, and it's not that old-fashioned. Only a few years ago, you could still have a phone like that. But nowadays, it's not really happening. And what I was telling him is that really by the time that he's really ready to give his daughter a phone, God knows what else is going to be out. You know, a few years ago nobody has heard about the iPad. Now the iPad is really making a big difference. The other thing that we talked about obviously was Facebook and the use of Facebook that kids have. And the guy that I was talking to is an attorney, so he was also telling me about the dangers of what you put on Facebook, and how, you know, people will use, if you are ever going to be a defendant in a case for some reason, people are going to look at your character. And you know, a lot of lawyers actually find Facebook, they find somebody who is your friend, they find ways to have access to your Facebook page and to find any kind of possible picture that could be embarrassing, that could show anything negative about your character. So to me, that's really all part of education. What I was trying to get this guy to understand, and you know, he's a very busy man, he's a young parent. At the moment, there's certain aspects of technology and the use of social media and the way kids nowadays are really communicated all the time that he probably doesn't see yet because his kids are too young. But very soon, it's going to happen. And in my opinion, it's really... A lot of people are very scared about technology, but I do really believe that it is part of your life and you really can't avoid having it in your life. Right now I'm talking to you through my camera, through my YouTube channel. That's going to be on my blog, which is on my website, which everybody has access to from their computers. If you live in California, you can be listening to me now. If you live in Toronto, Canada, you can listen to me also. I'm sorry, I'm French, I have an accent. Anyway, so you know, technology is really part of your life. It is most of the time something very, very good. And in my opinion, what's happening is that a lot of parents who nowadays have twins or teens are a little bit confused about what's going on and about how fast it's going, and they really are not in their kids' world a lot of the time, because they, for instance, don't have their own Facebook account, or they don't realize what it was like. We grew up in a very, very different way. When I was 15, there was no way I was going to be distracted by a cell phone or by my computer, by some kind of IM, Skype or anything. I had distractions, but they were not as readily available as something like a cell phone that you have just at arm's reach. So I think what's very important to parents is not so much to cancel technology from your kids. You don't want your kids to not have access to technology. Technology is wonderful. It allows us to do all sorts of fantastic things. Medicine wouldn't be where it is now without technology. There's a lot of research that we do. NASA sent people on the moon, and we had a little robot going on Mars, finding things out. You know, all these things are very useful. This is all allowed by technology. How many internet millionaires do we have now? Loads. So technology is really something that you want your kids to learn, because, you know, I was reading recently, there's like a 14-year-old internet millionaire, 14 years old. wouldn't you like that for your kids? Okay, maybe the kid was always online and he was doing stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, he made good use of it. So I think it is really important to understand that technology is there. It's important when your kids apply for colleges, they're going to have to do it online. And if you have kids who are like, you know, about 10 or 12 now, by that time probably everything is going to be doing online. Little by little, we're really getting rid of old-fashioned stuff like paper and like, you know, the good old writing letters and you're waiting in the mail to see whether you've been accepted. You know, you just log on and you find out what's going on. And that's really for everything. And kids are really connected all the time. And they grow up in that world. Anybody who has kids who were born like in the last 10 years, really technology is there all the time. A lot of you probably took a picture of your baby like the minute they were born, and that went on, you either posted it on Facebook or you sent it to your friend through MMS or whatever. But you know, the minute they're born, these kids are already technological in some way or another. So I think it is really important to live with it, but to be also aware of what's going on. So one of the first things that I would always say, you know, have your own Facebook account, be aware of what's going on, have a Twitter account, follow your kids, know what they're doing, know what they're posting, and always remind them about anything that's on the internet is going to be public. So the conversation with this attorney was actually very interesting because you can learn that you know, a picture of you drinking with some friends, even if it was just very innocent, if you were not doing anything, and even if you're not underage, you know, that at one point can be used against you. So you have to be careful with this kind of thing. And that's something that really can be explained to your kids. And my advice is really to start explaining this kind of thing to your kids as young as possible. Because what we really want is to create a habit and for your kids to take their own responsibility about when they use technology for fun and when they use it for work or for whatever you know, useful purpose that they may have. As I said, we had a lot of distractions when I grew up too. They were not as easily available. So, you know, if I wanted to go and phone a friend, I had to like go to a different room and find a phone. The rest of the things, you know, I would just like go out and play with my friends. Well, I had to go out and play with my friends, and that was, you know, when I was finished what I was doing. So it was kind of easy to monitor, and it wasn't like I could do it just right away. Now you could just grab your phone, you find a little app that's fun, and then you play with it while your parents might be thinking that you're doing your homework. So somewhere you really want to teach your kids at a young age to be able to handle these wonderful items of technology that they have, like their cell phones, their iPad or whatever, but know when and when not to use them. When your kids are doing homework, there's no need for the cell phone to be there. The cell phone should be off, and it should be in a different room preferably. If they are doing homework that are worksheet or whatever, the computer doesn't need to be there. If they have a computer, it can be just put away. At night it's the same thing. There's a lot of problems with kids who seem to have sleeping problems, and when in reality, I mean, what it is that they'll be looking on their Facebook app or their Twitter app until very, very late at night, and just because the phone is right here. So if this is not something that's been happening in your family, you might have for a while to say, okay, look, we're gonna have these rules. Right now, I'm taking the phone away, or I'm taking the computer away, and at 9:30 at night there is no phone, no computer anymore. When you do your homework, there's no phone, no computer, or no other thing, iPad or whatever you have. So just to teach your kids, to make them experience the difference that it can make to, for instance, starting to work on a piece of homework which is supposed to take you 10-15 minutes, and then you know, you get an MMS, or suddenly somebody comes on Skype when you're trying to type your essay, or you start doing some research, and then, you know, you go, oh yeah, that sounds interesting too, and then you get to another website, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the day, your homework that was supposed to last 15 minutes, an hour and a half later, you still haven't done it. So by removing all these kind of distractions, that a lot of kids, they will argue that it doesn't distract them. But in reality, when you take that away and they experience the fact that they can be focused on something, and they kind of have to do it because, you know, at the end of the day, if they want their telephone back or their iPad back, it's going to be when everything is done. You get them to experience what it is to actually get the work done faster, and then have all this free time to do whatever the heck they want with technology. or with anything else that they want to do for that matter. But it's really a matter of educating the kids to experience. People, it's very hard to convince people of something unless they've experienced it. Like, you can be on a very good diet that's very easy, that works very well for you, and you've lost 28 pounds and you're really happy, and then you're talking to your friend who's trying to go on a diet and they got another idea, and you know, even though they see that it worked with you, they think, oh yeah, but that's kind of hard, I don't know if it's going to work. And up until they actually try and they see the results, it's not going to happen for them. So, and it's the same with your kids with technology. They really have to understand that there is a time and place for everything. These things are very good. You just need to use them at the right time. And once you've built that kind of discipline, then, you know, you can just trust your kids that they're going to do it. And you know, it's not a matter of saying, okay, well, we're going to try for a couple of days, and once they're, you know, when they tell you that they convince, no, you really have to see a difference in them. They really have, it will come naturally to them. They will say, wow, you know, that was really impressive. It's, you know, it's 8 p.m. and I got nothing to do. I've done all my homework. Usually I'm working until like 10:30. And when you see that, you say, okay, so, you know, you see the difference here. Here's your game, or is your iPad, or whatever it is. So it's really a matter of education. And I really want to encourage you to become, to try to stop vilifying technology, because a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about, generally about technology. You know, a lot of things can happen through Facebook. Yes, you know, you could have pictures that are used against you and so on and so forth, but it's also a fantastic business tool. You know, if you ever have a business and you have your Facebook page, this is really how things are going. If you don't have a website nowadays, and if you have a business, there's a really good chance that your business is not really gonna make it. People, if they're looking for a service, they Google it. It's that simple. So they're gonna go online. If you're the only person in the area, you might provide the best service, but if people can't find you, it's not going to work. So it is important that your kids realize the good uses of technology too. But they really have to understand that the bottom line is there's a time and place for everything. You know, people who have businesses, who are internet millionaires, they actually work when they're online, and they don't get distracted by just looking at their friends' Facebook pages and so on and so forth. So it is very important to get the kids at a young age, and I think that for those of you who have little children that are like between 3 and 6, it is time to start discovering things with them. You know, there's a lot of really cool websites that you can go look at with your kids. You can show them what your Facebook page is like, the kind of thing that you do, and say, hey, look, you know, on Skype, this is Auntie so-and-so who lives, you know, 2,000 miles away, that you can actually see and interact with her, which you wouldn't. You know, 15, 20 years ago, that wasn't possible. So just show them the nice thing and lead by example. Again, when it's time to do something else, say, okay, well, listen, sweetie, sorry, but now we've got to finish. We're going to do something else. And that really builds a sense of, okay, this is good, but then we have all other things. And the last thing also that I want you to encourage your kids to do is to also have a little bit of time out, to sort of be with themselves. What's happening now is that we are bombarded with information coming left, right and center from everything. I mean, you can take your car, there's billboards, there's going to be, you go to the doctor, there's a TV there. You really can't go anywhere without getting information. Now, kids love to be connected. A lot of people argue that, you know, there's no communication between kids, they don't meet up, right? But in reality, they really are in communication all the time. In many, many ways, they communicate way more than I used to when I was that age. But what was very good to grow up in the 80s or maybe early 90s is we could really sort of be away at one point and just do quiet things, just have quiet self-time. I like to call that self-time, where you just, you know, you just think, you kind of ponder about your day, about what you're gonna do, but where you really are just with yourself, and you can give your mind some rest. Kids are very busy nowadays. There's a lot of things to be done at school. A lot of kids are involved in other activities. They have to manage their time very well if they want to manage if they want to make it. Then they have to think about whether they're going to go to college, how to apply to college, think about the money side of it. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. Kids don't necessarily have it any easier or any harder, but you know, there are a lot of things going on, so we have to be aware of that. But they can use technology, and they can also learn to have a quiet time where they can just chill and really not want to be in connection with somebody, where they're just connecting with themselves. And I think that's really something that, you know, you might also have to do it yourselves. Let's just like sit and read together or something, or just, you know, especially before they go to bed. And that's, you know, if it's gonna be one time during the day that you do that, please try your best to do it just before they go to sleep, because that's where a lot of sleeping problems come from. You know, your mind has to wind down. We all have to wind down. So just turn everything off. There's no TV half an hour before you go to bed or something, and just, you know, sit and chat, or just relax and just like be with yourself. When kids are getting ready to go to bed, the phone shouldn't be there. There's no need for them to just, you know, text or tweet and say, oh, you know, I just finished brushing my teeth. There's no need for that. And that builds a sense of not having that need of always being connected with someone. You know, a lot of kids are like, you know, if I don't tell the world that I'm, you know, on my way to my biology class, or that I've just finished my homework, or I've just finished brushing my teeth, they think that they're losing out. So I think it's important to present that to your kids, and lead by example, and start as young as possible, because at the end of the day, these kids are going to have to make choices. Technology is not going to go backwards, it's just going to keep going forward. What's going to happen is that there's going to be more and more things available to them, and they're going to have to make those choices. So what you want to do is really arm them with the right tools to make those kind of choices. And in order to do that, they have to have experienced what it is to be focused on one thing, get done what you've got to do, know where your priorities are. If you can teach that to your kids, they'll be fine. They will enjoy technology, they will enjoy everything else that they do, and it won't become a danger. Okay? So thank you very much for your time. It was great to talk to you, and thank you for following Better at School. I'll be in touch again soon. Take care. Bye bye.